Hey there! Today I'm showing you a very simple way on how to paint watercolor florals. So it's finally spring and we have all those colorful flowers, and since I love flowers so much, obviously I felt inspired to create a lot of things from them. And at first I wanted to mention that I have a new Skillshare course all about watercolor florals, and I'm gonna show you everything that I know about that, and just step by step, simple for beginners, everything in a very much slower version than this. So if you're interested in that, I will leave the teaser for the class at the end of this video. So now we're getting started with our piece here, and I used this yellow-orange mixture to create the first two flowers, and I just made those very simple petals, and it's just a lot of water so you can have those watercolor effects, and yeah, just very simple shapes here. I was trying to have them be a little bit messy, look a little bit more organic. And here I did some more flowers. I started off with this very nice warm tone. I really love this mixture of yellow and orange. You could use all kinds of colors that you want, of course. You can always change up the pieces. You don't have to follow along with the exact same colors. Here I started with some very simple shaped flowers. It's just they are just little dots, 5 little dots, and super messy. They don't have to be super clean and everything. It's just very, very simple. And here I added in a little bit more color to our first flowers, and they were a little bit dry but not quite. So you can really experiment with the amount of water that you still have there, if it's already dry or not. Just play around with that. The most important thing here is to be loose and to just enjoy watercolor, not put too much pressure on everything. You cannot control everything that goes on here, and that's absolutely not the purpose of it. We're just messing around, having fun, let the colors run into each other. And yeah, you can see here that I started with the greenery part of everything, and I just started off with a very light green tone and added in more and more pigment and more water as well, just so that we can have different effects. And just adding in things where I thought that we needed them still. So yeah, just I was using a lot of water with this one so that the colors would bleed a little bit into each other, and I really wanted that effect because it makes it look so much more loose and just gives it a little bit of life, and you have all these watercolor effects. And here you can see that I added a little bit of yellow to our wet parts, and then I added in some phthalo blue, and I really love that because it adds just so much. It makes it look so much more interesting, and I built up the colors here even more on the flowers, and it's slowly coming together and getting more and more interesting, just adding in colors where I thought that I needed them. And depending on where your paper is still wet and where it's already dry, you will get different results. So you don't have to get the same results that I get here. Just play around with it and have fun. So while all of that dries, I started off with the next piece on the left side, and I started out by sketching this very, very simple vase just to know where everything's gonna be. And I used a kneaded eraser so that the sketch wouldn't be too heavy there and that we won't see it later on still. So I started off with these flowers. They're just very, very simple lines and dots. Again, very messily, so they look as as organic as possible. I also did some of these dots that aren't even connected, so just mess around with that. And I added in a red tone here as well, and then a little bit of orange so that those would bleed together nicely. And I think that it looks really cute that way. I really love when the colors bleed into each other. That's just the magic of watercolor, and I was trying to use it to its fullest potential. And yeah, but keep in mind that if you use a lot of water, you will get some edges around your painting, so you can see it on the piece on the right where it's drying, that there are those lines on the outside of the painting. And if you use a lot of water, you will get that. And I really don't mind. I think that it adds a little bit to the character of the piece, so I don't really care. So here I started with a rose. I just did those circular lines and did it darker in the middle. I will explain that in way more detail in my Skillshare class, so if you're interested in that, just check it out. With my link you can get 2 months for free, and I think that it's totally worth it. You can do so many things on there, learn so many things. And here I did the next rows. It's just those very simple lines, and I started off with a darker color and then I did lighter tones, and you can see here that everything starts to bleed, and I really love that effect because you can see that the colors work really nicely together. I love the pink tones and the orange tones. I mean, sometimes even colors bleed together that don't really go that nicely together and it still looks cute. You just have to experiment with this. Sometimes it might not look the way that you wanted it to be, but that's just part of the process. Sometimes watercolors don't behave the way that we want it to, especially if we're working in that very loose format as we're doing here. But it's just a process, and just keep on going, keep on practicing. You will get the hang of it, and you will get the hang of how much water you're going to need. And yeah, just keep going. And by the way, if you're interested in the products that I'm using, there's always a link in my description box where I just have all the products that I really love. And I'm going to do a favorite products video very soon, possibly next week. I'll see if I get around to it until then, but very soon. And I will talk more in depth about my favorite products. And here you can see that I started with those little branches, with those little circular leaves and a darker tone, and I think that it looks really cute if you combine more detailed things and more bulky things. So we have the more bulky roses and flowers here, and now I'm adding in those little dots that just add a little bit extra to it, because we have this contrast of bigger parts and just those little tiny parts. And I'm just building everything up until I like the result. And here you see that I'm painting the vase. So I just used this blue tone and I really love that color, and I think that it goes really nicely with all the other colors here, but I think I made it a little bit more purple in the end, if I remember correctly. So yeah, you can see here it's getting a little bit darker because it was so vibrant. I just had to dull it down a little bit, and you can see that I did those shadow parts on the outside and here beneath the flowers. So this adds a little bit more dimension to it, makes it look a little bit more 3D. So if you have round objects like that, I always recommend doing something like that. And now on our first painting, I added in those little dots and really messily put them down there in the middle of our flowers. And then I also gave them some little more details, trying not to overwork it, because if you do too much, then you won't see your loose painting that you've created anymore. So just know where to stop. Don't overwork it too much, but you can add a little something, just little details like I did here. I think that it adds a lot and makes it look a lot more interesting. And so I did that for the all the flowers here with the red in the middle and the orange parts on the outside. And I also added in those other little branches here because I thought that it needed a little bit to make it look a little bit more full. It was a little, I don't know, it needed a little more of everything, and just added in a little bit more of the details here. And here I added more to our little shadow and just make that look more interesting. And I carefully combined that here, making sure that the colors wouldn't bleed, because here I didn't want that effect. If you don't want the colors to bleed, make sure that everything's dry already. So here are our 2 finished pages. Would you please focus? And I really hope that you liked this video. I'm gonna leave you with the teaser to the Skillshare course now. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. And until next time, goodbye! Hey there, and welcome to this Skillshare class. In this course, I'm gonna show you everything that I know about watercolor florals. This course is perfect for beginners because I'm gonna show you step by step how it's done and just give you lots of practices where you can see how to go around this. I'm gonna show you the products that I'm gonna use. I'm gonna show you how to paint leaves and branches. Then we're moving on to the flower parts and practicing all of that, and then we are going to create a final painting with a composition where I'm gonna show you how I do that and what to keep in mind when you create those florals. You're going to learn everything that you need to know about that topic. So if you're interested in that, enroll in my class and I'll see you there.